Have you heard of the iconic series Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt? If you haven't, then you're in for a wild ride. What if I told you it's more than just vulgar absurdity laced with parody? That's actually a philosophical critique on media, pop culture, and societal norms. Don't believe me? Join me as we embrace the controversial topics that take us venturing through the hidden depths of this iconic series. To grasp how this came to be, we must start with Studio Gainax's legendary origins. Studio Gainax's colorful history starts in 1983 with Daikon 4's opening animation. The animation was for Nihon SF Taikai, which is an annual science fiction convention held in Japan. Each of these conventions is officially the Nihon SF Taikai, but they are more well known as the official nicknames given to them based on their locations. For example, Tokon, which is held in Tokyo, or Daikon, which is held in Osaka. The short film for Daikon 4 sets the tone for what Gainax would become, along with helping to create the studio into a legend. The influence of science fiction along with pop culture is ever so evident in what they create. Followed by the success of this short film, Studio Gainax went on to create Gunbuster, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and Fooly Cooly. After these successes, they created Gurren Lagann, which was led by Hiroyuki Imaishi, and it garnered them even more success. As a reward to the team that worked on Gurren Lagann, Imaishi took them out for drinks. While the team was celebrating, he proposed the question, "What show would you like to see created?" As a response, Hiroyami Wakabayashi pitched the theme that is Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt. While still enjoying their outing, he proceeded to start drawing and drafting up the concept for the show. In an interview with Wakabayashi, he indicated that he drew inspiration from American cartoons, specifically drawn together for its lewdness. The character design can be traced to American cartoon style with great influence from the Powerpuff Girls. As a side note, in 2011, Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt was part of the jury selection in the 15th Japan Media Arts Festival in the animation category. On the surface, the Anarchy Sisters are fallen angels that must destroy ghosts to gather heaven coins in order to get back into heaven. Panty represents materialism, hedonism, and the pursuit of physical pleasures. Stocking embodies consumerism, obsession with trends, and image consciousness. Together they navigate a world filled with chaos and absurdity, with each being a characterization of a facet of modern society taken to its extreme. Garterbelt adds a touch of eccentricity to the mix. Chuck, well, he's just the slapstick of the show. There's also Brief, whose nickname is Geek Boy. That represents the team that is behind Panty and Stocking and Garterbelt. Then there is the antagonists, Scanty, Knee-Suck, and Corset. Corset is the mayor of Dayton City, whose ultimate goal is to plunge it into darkness and despair, paving the way for his demonic reign. He plans to achieve this through opening the gateway to hell. As a result, he would unleash chaos and destruction on an unprecedented scale, bringing about the downfall of humanity, all to invade heaven. Scanty is arrogant, calculating, and unapologetically evil. She possesses a razor-sharp intellect and ruthless demeanor, using her intelligence to manipulate situations to her advantage. Despite her villainous tendencies, Scanty maintains a sense of sophistication and refinement, making her a formidable adversary. Her ultimate goal is not to only defeat Panty and Stocking and establishing dominance over the city, but also to further Corset's plans. Nietzsche is the calm and collected counterpart to Scanty's fiery personality. She often wears knee-high socks, from which her name is derived, adding a touch of irony to her appearance. She is methodical, strategic, and disciplined, serving as the brains behind many of their villainous schemes. While not as overtly malicious as Scanty, Nietzsche is equally ruthless and determined, willing to do whatever it takes to achieve their goals. She is driven by the thirst for power and domination, seeking to assert their authority over the city and crush anyone who stands in their way, particularly Panty and Stocking. The series shows the growth of the protagonists and the development of awareness to their actions. They achieve this through the parodies, satire, and homages to other media with unique infusion and gainax can provide. They are known for their over-the-top style, and oh boy, is it over-the-top. The homages start off with the Anarchy Sisters, who are a pair of beautiful angels that wreak havoc wherever they go. They have a similar appearance of the girls from Dirty Pair Flash. Bree's outfit is a homage to Ghostbusters. These are just a start, and I'm not going into complete detail about all the parodies, homages that are included in this. That could be a whole video on its own. But if you want me to, leave a comment, and if I get enough requests, I will make a separate video. For this one, though, I will give you examples of my favorites. In Death Race 2010, the Ghost is a homage to Carnage's symbiote. But the way Stocking cuts the truck in half recreates the scene of Morpheus doing it. In the turmoil of the Beehive, the background in this one scene is a homage containing several Gainax's characters and a few that aren't from Gainax, along with this oddly suspicious little girl. In the Diet Syndrome, Stocking becomes massive. She resembles Helga Fugly, which is a parody of the Oblongs. Diabolicus, probably saying that wrong. This homage is truly otaku bait, complete with cat ears, of course. In Transformers, which the parody is obvious, the helmet looks like Megabit. Of the Dead, there are several scenes that parody From Dusk Till Dawn. Garterbelt uses this shotgun the same manner as the Reverend. Then there's this dildo contraption that Panty uses as a weapon, which is identical to George Clooney's. And is this Danny Trejo? But heck, all the satire in this one could be a whole video on its own. One Angry Ghost. I believe it's a Gundam parody of Lieutenant Matilda as a monkey. There's also the new type sound effect when the monkey is shocked and becomes the turning. Once Upon a Time in Garterbelt. This parody of 2001's Space Odyssey is magnificent. Garterbelt is the monolith. That's only a few of my personal favorites. There are so many more. It's kind of crazy how much they jammed into this series. Not only did they parody, satire, and pay homage to shows, movies, and franchises, they also made all the segment titles in each episode a reference to a movie, show, or franchise. I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as possible. I do believe this will help demonstrate how much detail and care the creators behind the show really had. It is a long list, 26 to be exact, Most of the titles do not directly correlate to a satirical bit in the segment, but some do, which on its own is actually pretty awesome. The movie references from titles are Excretion Without Honor and Humanity, Battles Without Honor and Humanity, Death Race 2010, well, Death Race, The Turmoil of the Beehive, The Spirit of the Beehive, Sex and the Dayton City, Sex and the City, Cat Fight Club, Fight Club, Pulp Addiction, Pulp Fiction, The Diet Syndrome, The China Syndrome, High School Musical. Is High School Musical. This one is interesting. It's the only one that they have two different titles. One for the Japanese subtitle version and then one for the American English dubbed version. I'm not sure why they did this. The Runny is for Japanese subtitled, and Raider of the Nasal Dark is for the dubbed version. The Mummy for the Japanese subtitled, Raiders of the Lost Ark for the American dubbed version. Vomiting Points, Vanishing Point. I'm going to butcher it, but it's La Diabolicus, I believe. The French movie is the same title as it. Homers, Transformers, The Stripping, The Killing, Of the Dead. This is reference to George Romero's series, Night of the Living Dead. One Angry Ghost. 12 Angry Men. If the Angels wore swimsuits, if she wore a swimsuit. Ghost, the Phantom of Dayton City. This one's also very interesting because it's on the movie Ghost. In America, that's just what it was called, was Ghost. But because in Japan, it has two different meanings for the words that compose of it, it was known as Phantom of New York. Inner Brief. Inner Space. And Chuck even got his own trilogy, which is pretty awesome. They're hilarious. And they're called Chuck to the Future. And I thought it was pretty awesome because the reference is to Back to the Future, which was also a trilogy. So that was a really nice little addition that they did to it. This one is interesting. Help, We Are Angels. The reference is Help, which is the American version. I saw some things online and a little bit contradicting, but as far as I could tell, it was also known as We Are Idols in Japan. I can't find any references to that, but this is the poster for it, at least. Once Upon a Time in Garterbelt. Once Upon a Time in America. Nothing to Room Nothing to lose. DC Confidential.
DC Confidential.
LA Confidential. Panty and Brief.
Panty and Brief.
Romeo and Juliet. Bitch Girls. Bad Boys. Bitch Girls 2. Bad Boys 2. Even with all the pop culture references, PSG still has more meaning than just a love letter to cinema and media in general. It explores how media influences culture through its depiction of characters and scenarios. The show often critiques how media shapes these behaviors and values, presenting exaggerated versions of societal norms and expectations. PSG even satires a typical anime trope, known as the magical girl, and it explores sexuality through this satire. PSG exposes the inherent hypocrisy of society. In the segment Sex in the Dayton City, Panty reveals her sex tape at her film's premiere. The act is immediately met with backlash, and her sponsors that initially supported her back out. The hypocrisy of this situation is that people publicly have a problem with explicit material, yet they'll have no issue indulging in it. This is mostly a performance. We can see this even nowadays in video game industry as well.
Founded penis physics, so it is completely okay for them to highlight and praise penis physics in video games, but not breast and jiggle physics. Love Stellar Blade and the incredibly sexy outfits in the game, and no, these sexy outfits do not hurt the game's story at all whatsoever. Show their blatant hypocrisy and attack Stellar Blade and also attack Eve.
Instead of actually being honest about their desires, people would instead present a facade. And with Panty and Stocking, what you see is what you get. Facades are an unfortunate common occurrence, which are exasperated by media, specifically sensational journalism. In the segment Death Race 2010, Panty is bombarded by the newscast on the TV of a high-speed chase. Throughout this segment, emphasization of the carnage is the main focus. Then as the chase intensifies, there's this scene with Panty is trying to get her weapon backlaced back. Mind you, her weapon is her panties. In this scene, she slides to the back of the semi. As she stops her momentum, we're given a shot of her from the front bending over. The newscaster exclaims, "Keep rolling!" These scenes directly reflect on sensational journalism. Surprising to most, sensational journalism is not an exclusive trait of America, but it is plentiful in our media. It has been around since about 1895 to 1898. The comic Hogan's Alley had really pushed it forward. They had a character called Yellow Kid. Through that and other media sources, they ended up coining the term yellow journalism. It was utilized as a tactic to sensationalize different aspects of life, specifically during the Cuban War. In Japan, it is stated that sensationalism is more about simplifying facts, adopting an emotional good versus punishment, or stirring up bizarre incidences and depictions of horror to gain public acceptance. They also use the term yellow journalism, which touts sensation over facts to help increase the reach of the news, to influence points of views or persuade the views of others in their favor. This causes a false narrative and misinformation to spread. In some cases, they do use it just simply to distract people from their everyday struggles. The series also points out the calamity of the common person, for instance, in the segment Vomiting Point. The father is shown living a common life, dealing with common problems and a corporate job. He must sacrifice being at his daughter's birthday party to keep his job, as he needs to socialize with his coworkers. As a result of this, and the other despairs of life in general, he ends up vomiting a ghost. This becomes the physical manifestation of this despair. Even the art style of this segment is completely different to really emphasize the grit. Then, in a positive turn of events, he ends up meeting Panty and Stocking when they slay the ghost. This is fortunate since his daughter idolizes them.
Panty? Fuckingクソ野郎!
He is able to get their autographs to give to his daughter as a meaningful gift. This demonstrates that even with such negativity, that there can always be a positive to take away from a situation. He does request that they come to his daughter's birthday, which they decline. This is unfortunate, but since the Anarchy Sisters are presented as a representation of idols, it's to be expected, but it really shows how popularity can cause self-absorbed behavior. One of the main characteristics of the Anarchy Sisters is their superiority complex. In the segment, The Turmoil of the Beehive, their ostentatious nature is brought to the surface and displayed for everyone to witness. They drive through a wall, followed by a vertical pan to reveal their glamorous attire. Then the students say, "Who are they? Rich girls? Goddesses?" Panty responds, "No, we're angels." Stocking retorts with, "Do you even understand what the word infiltrate means?" They start walking as though they are on a catwalk or the red carpet. Meanwhile, the students act more like idol otaku or paparazzi. Side note, that in Japan there is a thing called portrait rights. It's generally considered that it's not illegal to take photographs of public figures because they originally give up their permissions for their names and portraits to be made public, and the protection of their personal interests is described by portrait rights can be interpreted to be severely limited. It is very nuanced, but at the base of the action, it is definitely considered rude and inappropriate. Then there is Queen Barbie, which is laced with satire. Her name is that of being the doll Barbie. They even reference it. She shows true egocentric behavior, since Barbie is literally being held up by the students on a throne-esque chair, towering above everyone else. Along with how Barbie influences all the youth around her to do her bidding. It shows the youths being drones, controlled by the popular girl. Or, as a reference with her namesake, also, it could be looked at as they're being controlled by the product. This leads into how consumerism takes hold and society, specifically youth, fall victim to predatory tactics in product advertisement or utilization of predatory tactics.
Are there any ads that have stuck out in your mind?
when it also comes to like video games too. Granted, they weren't as prevalent when this was created, but we do definitely see that
There's this concept in game design called a gameplay loop.
products on their own are not inherently bad, but overconsumption spurred by the predatory advertisement, it is highlighted in the segment The Strip. The opening is of Panty and Stocking with an overabundance of merchandise. Garterbelt tells them the issues that their buying addiction has caused. That leaves them needing to pay back for what they have used. They have an unrealistic idea of what they could make in a day. It displays the state of disconnection of being able to pay off an exorbitant amount. This is also a reference to overutilization of credit through failing at each job, the only solution that they end up with is gambling. The ghost in this segment is the Eye of Providence, which is featured on the back of the US dollar bill. The ghost ends up eating all the money. This seems to be a reflection of the true nature of economics. As a constant gaining and losing, a spiral of self-deprecation with no end in sight, leaving you with a yearning for more than a hollow existence, an acquiescence to a celestial power. One prominent motif in Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt is the juxtaposition of the divine and profane. The series features angels, demons, and religious imagery, but it juxtaposes these elements with crude humor, irreverence, and over-the-top vulgarity. This contrast between the sacred and the profane creates a unique and striking aesthetic that permeates the entire show, highlighting a satirical take on traditional religious themes while also emphasizing its absurd and comedic elements. Additionally, the motif of transformation is prevalent throughout the series, as the characters undergo physical and emotional changes, often with unexpected and humorous outcomes. This motif reflects the show's theme of personal growth and redemption, as the characters evolve over the course of their absurd and chaotic adventures. The overall theme of Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt revolves around societal critique, particularly focusing on the influence of media on modern culture. The series uses exaggerated characters and absurd situations to highlight issues such as materialism, consumerism, and overemphasization on an image. Additionally, it explores themes of youth identity and behavior, showcasing how media shapes societal norms and expectations. Through its irreverent humor and countless parodies, PSG delivers a thought-provoking commentary on contemporary society's obsession with superficiality and the pervasive influence of media. Despite their flaws and hedonistic tendencies, Panty and Stocking undergo character development throughout the series, learning valuable lessons and ultimately striving to become better versions of themselves. The theme of sisterhood and friendship is also prominent, as the Anarchy sisters navigate their chaotic world together, relying on each other for support and companionship. The series delves into the concept of morality and the consequences of one's actions as the characters grapple with their choices and face the repercussions of their behavior. Overall, Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt offers a multifaceted exploration of various themes, making it a rich and engaging viewing experience beyond its surface-level humor and absurdity. The juxtaposition of the divine and profane elements, intertwined with the journey of personal growth and redemption, offers plenty for an introspective journey. There are two main philosophies that resonate within this series. First is Nietzsche's will to power. It resonates with me as the characters navigate their chaotic world driven by individual desires in pursuit of autonomy. It is a theory about human drives, and it's neither good nor bad. Nietzsche believed that the will to power is a basic drive found in everyone, but one that expresses itself in many different ways. The will to power is a drive to overcome resistance in the world while simultaneously embracing that resistance. It is a striving for self-affirmation, self-overcoming, and the realization of one's potential. This is perfectly echoed in the final episode. Nietzsche was critical of traditional morality and religion, which he believed suppressed the expression of the will to power in individuals. The second philosophy comes from Musashi. I believe it's at the core of the show. He famously said, "You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain," which mirrors the character's pursuit of personal growth. Musashi's philosophy of self-discipline and mastery is reflected in their journey towards redemption. Musashi emphasized the importance of self-reflection, stating, "Do nothing that is of no use," a principle mirrored in the characters' confrontation of their own flaws and actions. He also said that one should think lightly of themselves and deeply of the world. This means that one should approach life with humility and the willingness to learn, rather than thinking that one already knows everything. Through its absurdity and satire, this series invites you to reflect on societal critique and existential themes, challenging conventional values and embracing the totality of human experience. Ultimately, Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt transcends its irreverent humor to offer a deeper exploration of morality, redemption, and the nature of human existence. I believe that good stories can entertain while stimulating philosophical inquiry, especially with contemporary culture. I would enjoy hearing your thoughts and insights on PSG. Or if you have another series that subverted your expectations and gave you a deeper meaning than what was just initially on the surface level. Let me know in the comments. I look forward to reading them. Until next time.
パンティまたそれやってんの？あら知らないの？今流行りのオスホジリック健康法よ。鼻の粘膜が